In the year 2019, whether it was from a bat farmer selling to a wet market vendor, or the wet market vendor handling livestock, the transmission of SARS-CoV-2 would begin. From vendor to buyer, buyer to passerby, passerby to public transportation, public transport to bustling city, then taken to individual homes. The virus would slowly stew within each person as they would go upon their lives. The adults waking up in the morning to go to their 12-hour shifts, and the children going to their 12-hour shifts, thus continually spreading farther and farther. However, at this stage, the infection would largely go unnoticed and present as a local epidemic infection. What truly bolstered it were the holidays. Both global New Year's and Chinese New Year's are humongous holidays that see millions of people travel by plane to various areas across the globe. We would see that by March, nearly a month after the New Year's celebration, COVID-19 would become a pandemic. Now, while we understand the path the virus took to spread, to properly combat the pandemic, researchers needed to know the underlying mechanisms and structure of the viron. Firstly, let's look at the overall structure of all viruses. The virion, or the virus particle, consists of at least two different parts, the genome and the capsid. The genome can either be made of DNA or RNA, as shown here, with the difference in these being an oxygen placement on the sugar and the use of uracil. RNA both has the oxygen on the sugar and the use of uracil, while DNA does not and instead uses thymine. The capsid covers the genome and can either be icosahedral or helical. There are a few other differences, such as whether a genome is single-stranded or double-stranded, whether the genome is linear or circular, or whether certain mechanistic proteins are present within the nucleocapsid, or the capsid and genome. SARS-CoV-2 is a positive single-strand RNA virus with a helical nucleocapsid. Positive strand means that it is able to be translated directly into proteins. SARS-CoV-2 is also enveloped, meaning that it has a protective phospholipid bilayer. Not all viruses have this, but many of the respiratory viruses that we face do. The envelope has proteins on its surface that allow it to be identified by the host cell and taken in by the host cell. The specific protein that COVID has is called the spike protein, or S protein. The spike protein is important as it binds to the ACE2 protein receptor on many different types of cell surfaces. This is the reason for its various seemingly unrelated symptoms. The spike protein gives the virus its signature look, similar to that of a crown or corona, terrible for the brand. This protein is important for the RAAS, or RAS system, renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, which helps to regulate blood pressure, electrolyte balance, and the absorption of water. COVID, along with many other respiratory viruses, also have the hemagglutinin esterase protein on its surface to allow it to bind and fuse with epithelial cells in the respiratory system. Once the spike protein is bound to the ACE2 receptor, the host protease TMPRSS2 cleaves the spike protein, exposing parts that fuse the viral membrane with that of the host. Upon entry of the viron nucleocapsid, the positive single-stranded RNA is synthesized into double-stranded RNA. From here, the double-stranded RNA is transcribed into subgenomic messenger RNA, or mRNA, for translation into functional and structural proteins. The viral RNA is also copied into new positive single-stranded RNA for production of new virus particles by COVID's own RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. Other non-structural proteins that COVID carries help the host translate the mRNA to make more proteins. Afterwards, the mRNA is degraded by the host's natural degradation mechanisms, and the new genome, non-structural proteins, and structural proteins are packaged together in the endoplasmic reticulum. From here, they are sent to the Golgi apparatus, where it is transferred into a double membrane vesicle. It then travels to the membrane of the host cell to be released via exocytotic membrane fusion, leaving the new virion particle with one membrane with all the spike proteins embedded in it. As briefly touched on before, the ACE2 receptor is present in many different types of cells. For example, in the upper airways within goblet cells and ciliated epithelial cells. In the vascular system, cells such as endothelial cells and vascular smooth muscle cells. In the lungs with alveolar epithelial cells. In the gut with enterocytes. In the heart with cardiofibroblasts, cardiomyocytes, pericytes, and endothelial cells. COVID-19 has a high degree of tropism, allowing it to have a very varied number of symptoms, such as fever, fatigue, dry cough, shortness of breath, headache, weakness, nausea, diarrhea, and changes to taste and smell. By itself, COVID was not the deadliest. However, with the presence of opportunistic infections by bacteria and other viruses, complications could arise, such as heart issues, acute respiratory distress syndrome, organ failure, death, and many, many more. Many of these deaths occurred in extremely young children, the elderly, and oddly enough, a spike in death in healthy young adults. The first two groups are often linked to weakened immune systems and pre-existing conditions. The third group is, however, linked to something known as cytokine storm, whereas the immune system overreacts to the presence of an illness and begins to damage the body. The virus has mostly been transmitted through close contact airborne transmission, as it is a respiratory viral infection. However, contaminated surfaces can spread the illness, but not long after the virus has landed on it. Incubation of the virus has been estimated to be between 3 and 5 days. The period of illness, or the active phase, can last between 5 and 7 days, and convalescence having been reported months afterwards. Many people report having a changed sense of smell or taste long after the infection. The estimated reproductive number, or R0, is 2.2, meaning that every individual infected has a potential to spread it to 2.2 individuals on average. The fatality rate, or the number after dividing the number of deaths from a specific disease over a defined period of time by the number of individuals diagnosed with said disease at that time, was roughly about 2%. In order to diagnose someone with COVID, 3 tests were made. The antibody test, where blood was drawn and searched for antibodies of the spike protein. The antigen test, which were rapid 15 to 30 minute tests that can detect viral proteins, in this case, the spike protein. These were the most accessible and widely used. There was, however, the NAAT, or nucleic acid amplification test, which detected viral RNA from within 30 days. With this global pandemic, many efforts were made into creating treatments and vaccines. One treatment that failed was the ACE2 receptor inhibitor, which failed as a result of many negative side effects of inhibiting the ACE2 receptor in an attempt to block the virus from attaching itself to the host cell. Other treatments were made, such as molnupiravir, which increased the frequency of mutation as COVID attempted to replicate its genome, or remdesivir, which inhibited COVID's RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. The greatest success from the pandemic were the vaccines and the rate at which the vaccines were produced and released to the masses. Novavax was a vaccine that carried the COVID-19 spike protein in high concentration to allow the body to create antibodies to recognize any incoming infection. The mRNA vaccines introduced viral mRNA, which encoded for the spike proteins to allow the host cell to produce those very same spike proteins and then make antibodies for them. Now, many important ideas, events, practices, and beliefs came about during COVID-19. One such group of things were the various conspiracy theories that arose. These theories did many things. For some, it gave them solace when answers had yet to be found. For others, it brought them distrust in academia and the government. And for many like myself, it brought about some laughs out of the absurdity. Now, despite its harm, it is very important to understand the hows and whys in dissemination of misinformation. By effectively being able to communicate up-to-date and accurate information, disinformation can be rooted out at its source, ignorance. I will now give a brief synopsis and some personal rankings of some of the more prevalent conspiracy theories. Hello everybody, this is going to be my ranking for my favorite conspiracy theories during COVID-19. So to start, we have our first one in S rank, the "it's not real" conspiracy theory. The reason it's in S tier is just the sheer willful ignorance that one needs to have in order to believe in it, and really to actually believe in it, not just ignore your neighbors, friends, family that have gotten COVID, but rather to fully believe that there is no virus, which then this leads to many other conspiracy theories, and this is just so willfully ignorant, I have to put this at the top of the list. Now, the next one is that 5G causes COVID-19. I'm going to put this one in A tier. The reason it's not an S, despite being my favorite in terms of idiocracy, is simply for the fact that it was very short-lived. This conspiracy theory led a lot of individuals to attempt to destroy 5G cell towers, and in doing so they caused local internet blackouts, as 5G internet towers look identical to any internet tower, or even certain cell towers and radio towers. The theory itself is entirely stupid. It's radio waves. How would it cause symptoms of a respiratory illness? I don't know. But the sheer idiocracy of it, I am happy to put it in A tier. Now, our next one, which is going to B tier, is there are microchips in the vaccines. In terms of if I were writing a sort of like world building thing, a novel of sorts, this would definitely be a plot point. There is some creativity to this, and microchips have been getting smaller and smaller, more complex. However, any microchip that is virtually invisible and can be fit into a syringe is going to be very low functioning. It's gonna just give out very small signals, and also it's not in your brain, so it's just, if you think about it for more than a few minutes, or not even a few minutes, for a couple of seconds, you realize how nonsensical it is. Again, you have to be pretty ignorant for it, but at least there's some, the gears are turning just in the wrong direction. Now, this one was a conspiracy theory that I have almost been convinced of in the past. Not now, obviously. I know better. But when I was younger, in I believe high school, I was in early high school. Um, I was ignorant, as many people are when they grow up. And this conspiracy is one that I almost believed. The conspiracy that it was, and I'm putting these two together, either lab grown or a bioweapon. And I'm gonna put it in C tier. C for Christopher. Um, but the reason I put it in C tier is because the way that people were describing it, again, part of this is how disinformation spreads. The way that people were describing it was less so of, oh, it's certainly a bioweapon, excuse me, or certainly lab grown, and rather, there's a possibility of this. And people latched onto it, exaggerated it a little bit, and created more fear than anything, in which most conspiracy theories feed off fear. I have to say, there is a little bit of thought put into this one, but then again, if you think about it further, labs are very, very precise. If someone were to have accidentally spilt it, it would have been reported, especially to the Chinese government. And with it being a bioweapon, why would the Chinese government use it on its own citizens? It's been proven time and time again that China does care about its own citizens and would not do such a thing to its own people. If it was a bioweapon to other countries, why would they... Excuse that, that's my cat in the other room. Why would they allow harm to their own citizen? Now, the last conspiracy theory is that, once again, I'm lumping two together, that either the virus or the vaccine was meant to sterilize people. This is just pure fear-mongering, in such a way that I can't even describe it. It's very idiotic. Why would any government want to call its population, if, let's say, oh, sure, there's a resource shortage, the government wouldn't want to take the fall. If there is a resource shortage, the government would do its best in order to combat it, and if it can't or won't, then the government only needs to just be hands off, and people will, call themselves or slowly die out. It's an unfortunate thing, of course, but the government has no need to do that. There is no reason for it. And of course, there is the matter of control in such things, but it's very nonsensical, to the point where it's just plain stupid. Alright, well, that's about it. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you all enjoyed, especially you, Dr. Raja. This is my cat, Nyaki. Say hi.